Tune in this week. We have a new edition of probably one of the most popular bourbons that I'm asked for here at Charlie's, and that would be Blanton's.
But this is a special edition, and we're going to tell you some Blanton's information you may have never heard before. Stay tuned.
Hi, welcome back to this week's edition of What's New at Charlie's. Well, hey, this week, Don, my good friend Mr. Don Williams, the Bourbon Fool. Don, I got something special for you, man.
You know, Charlie, you have something special almost every week, but this one I could see the horse sticking out of the bag.
Yes, so it is Blanton's Gold. Finally has shown up at Charlie's. So it's been a long time coming. It was released I had a few years ago, but it never really got much. I got one bottle, couldn't do much with it. So this time I got another bottle, now I got two. So now we can release it. So here we go. Blanton's probably the most requested bourbon on the shelf. One of the most, it's got the most history, most lore behind it, right? I mean,
well, it has become legendary in the marketplace.
Yep.
of people trying to find it and people trying to collect all the horses. And quite frankly, it is probably one of the most controversial bourbons in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because people either like it a lot or they hate it because they can't get it. There's a lot of issues, but I've spent some serious time doing some deep diving on Blanton's.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about some things. For example, this gold edition has only been available in America on a limited basis since 2020.
yeah.
However, you could get the gold edition all the way back in, I think it was like 92 in Japan, and it was made for the Japanese market. It still is, and the interesting thing is, the Japanese version of Blanton's Gold is 2 years older. The bourbon is 2 years older in that bottle than this bottle.
Wow. Okay. All right. So those bottles show up in the black market. You see them around and everything. And I mean, there's a reason that they're made for the Japanese market, right?
Right. And a little bit of Blanton's history, real quick, is for those of you who don't know, prior to Sazerac buying the distillery now known as Buffalo Trace, it was the Ancient Age distillery. So go back in history, it was original OFC, then it became George Stagg, and then it became Ancient Age.
Correct.
So Ancient Age was a very, well-run organization. Ancient Age was a popular whiskey back at the time. They had a lot of brands. But a Japanese business organization, Takaro Shuro, actually invested in Ancient Age. They bought 22.5% of it with a 30-day right of refusal to buy out the entire company.
Okay.
When they eventually exercised their option, they bought out the entire company, Ancient Age, distillery, brands, the whole thing, and they immediately sold the distillery to Sazerac. They didn't want to run the distillery or any of that portion of it. So what they did is they retained the brands that they wanted. And those brands were Ancient Age, Blanton's, Rock Hill Farms, Hancock's Reserve, and there might be another one that I'm missing, but you get the picture.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And then Buffalo Trace, shortly thereafter, rebranded Ancient Age to what is now known as the Buffalo Trace Distillery, and they've gone on to do great things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that kind of explains why Blanton's so hard to get. It's still owned by the Japanese,
Right.
and Buffalo Trace just makes it for them.
Yeah,
Basically.
it's contract,
Contract distilling.
just like they make Pappy Van Winkle now.
Right, exactly. So, there's some of the reasons why it's so hard to find. So, they did though, I mean, for years, like you said, you couldn't even get this stuff in the States. And then,
It wasn't even released for the first time until 2020.
yeah. So we did a straight from the barrel review, and we've had that here at Charlie's for a little bit. The gold now is showing up, so
Yep.
let's see what we got with that, right?
I'm anxious to see it.
First of all, check out this little cool bag. It's got a black velvet bag, which is very swanky. And look at that bottle, man. Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that, Don. That's cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's
Uh-huh.
nice.
Yeah.
for contrast, the Japanese version has a red velvet bag and maroon colored wax on the
Okay,
seal.
that's how you can tell the difference of what you
That's right.
got. Okay, all right. So the age statement doesn't really say. Proof is 103.
Is that what it says on there?
Yeah, 51 and a half. So 103, right?
Okay, 103?
Yeah, 103 proof. It says that right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, but it doesn't really tell us anything about how long it was made or aged for. But let's open it, man. I'm excited to
I'm
try this
waiting.
thing because,
So,
like I said, this has been a long time coming.
so anybody who's ever gone to Buffalo Trace or toured Buffalo Trace is going to, see that Blanton's was the first single barrel bourbon.
Yep.
And in a lot of ways, that's true. It is the first aggressively marketed single barrel bourbon because there's some other distilleries that produce some single barrels.
Yeah.
They just didn't market it that way.
Right.
But I'm anxious. Look at it, it's got beautiful color.
It does have beautiful color, man. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
This is a treat. It's not your normal Blanton's.
That's pretty good, actually.
That's really good. Wow. And as far as we know, like, proof and maybe a little extra aging is all the difference between this and regular Blanton's, right? I mean,
That-
mash bill's gonna be the same, all that stuff's gonna be the same, right?
That's my understanding. I mean, it probably could come from a select part of the warehouse.
Some honey barrels or something, maybe?
It
Yeah.
could. But the first thing I did was get an aroma of like creme brulee, like an unusual type, very
Yeah?
custard-like almost.
Uh-huh.
And then it is really smooth, but still hits you as a bourbon. It still has a little bit of spicy finish.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not necessarily a big fan of regular Blantons. This
Yeah.
I would drink all day long.
All day long, man. Yeah. You just have expensive taste.
Unfortunately. But a little backstory, and you're gonna understand why I'm gonna go in this direction.
Okay.
Spare me, folks.
Yeah.
Just bear with me.
You're gonna learn something.
Right. So Elmer T. Lee gets all the credit because he was the head man, master distiller at the time that Blanton's was created. But at the time, Ancient Age was owned by two gentlemen who were go-getters. They were trying to find ways to market whiskey at a time when whiskey wasn't selling very good. And it was a gentleman by the name of Ferdy Falk and another gentleman by the name of Robert Baranascus. These two gentlemen are probably as much involved with the creation of Blanton's as Elmer T. Lee was. And they don't get a lot of the credit because it's more...
I thought I knew a lot about bourbon. I've never heard the names of either of those guys. So,
That's what
yeah.
you have me here for.
That's exactly why I have you here.
So the bottom line is, Elmer T. Lee does deserve all the credit. He did all the heavy lifting and everything, but I think those two gentlemen, those two executives, were pushing, hey, let's find a way to market whiskey. And they actually created a premium brand at a time when it was unheard of. Whiskey wasn't selling very good. But here's the best part of the whole story. So Albert Blanton, Elmer T. Lee, Ferdy Falk, and Robert Baranascus have something in common with you and me. What do you think it is?
Whoa. I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
All of us are Kentucky Colonels.
Oh, nice. Perfect. There you go. To the Colonels. I love it. So, very good. Dude, this is awesome. Right up there with the straight from the barrel, I would say, yeah?
Man, there is no doubt that Blanton's recipe is a great recipe. When it starts getting to this level, it's really incredible.
Yes, it is. And I see why on the black market these fetch so much money because, yeah, they're kind of worth it. They're
Yeah.
pretty cool. All right, well, hey, as long as it lasts, you can come try it here at Charlie's. I don't know how long the 2 bottles I got will last, but as long as they do, they may not make it through. there was one more story, it might have not made it through this story, Don.
That's right. And one more thing, give us a thumbs up, would you? It really helps us out a little bit. And if you like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up.
Absolutely. And by the way, part of the reason Don knows so much about this Blanton's is because you're doing a tasting coming up.
I'm doing a Michigan tasting coming up February 22nd, and I'll put some information about that in the notes.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there's only a limited number of seats left, but if you act fast, you might get in.
Absolutely. And part of that will be a Blanton's discussion. So therefore, it was very appropriate that we opened this bottle today since Don's just been doing the research on it. Thank you, my friend.
Cheers, Charlie. Good
Cheers.
choice.
Thank you.
Thank you.